Alright, check, 1, 2. Hello everybody. Today we are going to be looking at the most recent patch notes, and with so, of course, there's going to be some changes to tier lists, and also as time goes on, we will have different opinions on how units are. So I'm just going to be using this as a period to have a look over some of the tier lists we've done so far, take a look at the new regiments of renown that are in game, and yeah, just sort of review the patch notes and how it's changed the game, update some of these tier lists, and then post them all together on the old Discord. Let's just see if this is all posted up and ready. That's working fine, that's good, that's fine. There's my link on how units are. That's my own voice being manipulated into my ear holes. Post that in here. Can't do two duets. And boom. Right, we'll get started with that then. Put the chat. Alright, so first things first, let's take a look at these new patch notes. So I've played through the patch a bit in my own time. I've looked through all of the different changes they've had, all the technology and shit, that doesn't matter. We're just here to look at how they've changed the units, for how that multiplayer balance is looking. So we'll start off here with Kislev. If we take a look at how Kislev has been modified. So Kislev got their new Regiment of Renown. They're a Zargard with fire attacks and a buff, an AoE buff they can give to Vigor. If we take a look at their patch notes, it's a very long list of patch notes. There we go. So a couple stat changes here about the board. Some price decreases, some mass changes for those light war sleds that were previously completely rampant. They were going crazy. Yeah, so it has been a big hit to them, and it's been a nice improvement for some of the Zargard and the Griffin Legion, which definitely were the weaker areas. Also, Ice Guard were quite expensive before. Now they've been toned down a bit to be a bit more in line. I still think glaives are just way better than swords. You'd always want to go glaives, but if we take a look, oh wait, I've got the other way. I mean the other way around. Wait, which way do I mean around? One of the ways around. If we take a look, so Griffin Legion having their armor increased by 10, that's not a huge difference. That's not a huge change. They do have a price reduction in 50. That definitely does make the Griffin Legion better. I'd still say they're about B tier. I don't think they've moved at all from those changes. That's not a outwardly sizable change or anything. It's just quite minor in retrospect. If we take a look at the heavy war sleds, those have been slightly hit. It was mainly the light war sleds that were the problem, but the heavy war sleds have been hit pretty hard as well. Because of that, I think we might be, if we take a look at light war sleds, they got hit a lot harder. Their mass was dropped by 700 compared to the heavy ones, which were just dropped by like, oh, those were dropped by 4,000, jeez, I misread that. Yeah, that is a big decrease to all the war sled stuff. And yeah, because of that, I think, I mean, they are still a decent unit, even with these mass changes. They are still pretty decently hitting chariots, and they, even a drop of 22 missile strength is fine. They still have a lot of ammo to use. That definitely might drop them from S tier though, I think. I don't think they're the S tier unit they were before. Heavy war sleds might be dropping down to a B there. In terms of how that changes everything in perspective, I mean, take a look here, Warbed Riders, those have been buffed, 5 extra armor, 2 extra melee defense. Zargard, great weapons, those melee defense increased by 4, 4 is pretty sizable. Great weapons were pretty low before compared to regular ones. This might bump them up to B tier, just so they're more on par with the regular version they had. They did have a bit of a problem with their melee defense being so low for elite infantry. Ice Guard with glaives and swords, I think the glaives are better than I thought they were. I think you can really just put the glaives, in fact maybe the swords are worse. Right now I'll put them on the same level, but that buff has definitely made them a lot more of a solid unit. In terms of what's S tier, I think it might, I used to think the Streltsy were already S tier, but they actually lose the Furies in melee, so they're not actually as good as I thought they were. I definitely think Zargard are not Zargard, Armored Cossars are probably such a staple in the Kislev roster that I might just put them up to S tier. What with the changes to other units, they're just, you see them in every roster. You see Armored Cossars, they're just so solid for what their cost is and everything. I might move Strelty down a tier. Do the Griffin Legion deserve to be A tier? That is the question. That is the question at hand. I also think Cossars should be higher up. Cossars with spears specifically, those should be B. I think you see so much use out of Cossars and they almost always pay for themselves. I do think the spear variant is just better than the normal variant, but I think the normal variant deserves to be C tier as well. The Elemental Bear was in the last patch, I think it was also dropped in cost, about like 2,000. That made it a lot more usable. Little Grom, I must say, Little Grom has seen a lot of improvement recently, and definitely sees a lot more use. And thinking retrospectively into some of the factions, there is a lot of factions that this does well into. It has problems against other factions, but as a whole, I think it deserves to be B. But there's a lot of B tier units in Kislev now. We need to shift some of this around. But what to shift? Looking at it, it's hard to say. I think I also said Cossite Fight Dervishes were maybe not F tier. F's a bit harsh for them. Snow Leopards, that's all fine. There isn't really any F tier units for Kislev. It's all quite solid. You know what? Just because they got buffed, and because I'm being optimistic, I'm going to say the Griffin Legion moving to an A tier. Maybe the Zargard Great Weapons is still a C tier. I still think you take the regular variant most of the time. You don't. It's really only against like Corn that you'd ever bring the armor piercing one. And that looks a lot. Yeah, actually, that's a bit better looking than how things are generally speaking. And if I had someone to collaborate with, I'm sure I will do in a minute. But besides that, we'll move on to the next faction. Nurgle. So Nurgle got some nice changes. Definitely in a much nicer spot than they were before. Cultists, of course, got all nerfed across the board, so not so much to them. Kugath got Pestilent Decay. That was nice. He finally has his fucking ability that lets him do a Mortis Engine effect. I still think he's worse than a regular Great and Clean one, for the record. I just think he's no longer the garbage lord who he used to be. If this did also increases price, though, so it's like potato. Plague Toad being reduced by 50 gold. This is pretty nice for old Nurgle. Drag that there. Plague Toads were already A tier. I think they're still A tier. I wouldn't say they're S tier. I might actually move Nurglings up to an S tier. Now, for those of you, I didn't even realise what this was at the time. Plague Ridden being dropped by 150 gold. This is the hero of Nurgle. The what is basically the generic hero that was never brought and still won't be brought. For the record, this price change won't do much to help him. It should also be noted that the Great and Clean One spells are now treated as bound abilities. In my opinion, this actually does drag them up to maybe an A tier. It's really only even against missile factions. I think having like a Great Unclean One Lord and a Great Unclean One regular is a pretty damn good combination. And because of how good the Great Unclean One is now, I think this does actually drag down the Soul Grinder. The Soul Grinder's missiles don't actually see that much use compared to like how much it's used. It's like its melee weakness is quite apparent to the Soul Grinder. Like how well a Great Unclean One survives compared to the Soul Grinder. Soul Grinder's a lot worse in melee. And because of that, I think I'm just putting it at B tier. Like the missile's nice, the artillery's good, but I don't think it deserves higher than a B. What else was changed? Was anything else changed for Old Nurgle? That was it for Nurgle. There's some okay changes. Cultists are still really good, even with the 100 price increase. And those bound abilities are nice. Just looking at anything else here. To be honest, Nurglings are probably S for their price and how much health they have. They are just such a solid chaff infantry. It's really thinking about that value, and you get always getting Nurgle value just out of delaying the enemy. Furies are actually way better than that. I think in terms of Furies, they are a B tier Fury, but in terms of the Nurgle roster, they are probably S tier. To be honest, I think it's fairly uncouth for me to say otherwise. Just that they helped out the Nurgle roster so much. The fact that they beat fucking nearly everything and anything. And the fact they're flying, and the fact they're fast, it helps them a lot. Next faction, Corn. I don't think there were a couple Corn changes. Let's take a look at which ones they were.
Yes.
Oh, it's Psycho. How you doing, Psycho? Just looking over some of the patch notes.
You mean how like you click on things and the unit just does?
No, that sounds like bug fixes. We're more interested about those multiplayer balances. That was sick. For example, fucking Corn got a shit ton. Oh my god, that's a lot of balances. Okay, let's see what we got going on here.
What?
Multiplayer balances. So the Bloodthirster, that being the big generic demon got a
Yeah.
price reduction of 100.
Ooh, okay.
Whether or not that moves
So-
him from a B tier, I don't think so. I think he's still a fairly B tier thing. Oh, it's an Elden Ring ad. Go away, Elden Ring. Oh, it's another ad. Okay, there you go. So I still think the big old Bloodthirster is still probably a B tier, even with a price reduction like that. I don't think it got any stat changes. No, I didn't get any stat changes.
Hmm.
It's a nice price reduction, but it's like you still don't bring him fairly often. Usually, Corn just does enough damage on its own. The cultists all got nerfed. Good for them. Gorebeast Chariot, a big mass increase of 600, as well as a melee defense and melee attack increase. Quite a hefty one as well. 3 melee defense and 5 melee attack. Gorebeast Chariot, where was I putting those before? They're not even on here. They're not even on this. Man, they're so forgettable. Nobody even remembers Gorebeasts. Jeez.
Yeah.
Poor fucking Gorebeast Chariots.
Remember Gorebeast Chariots were actually like decent.
Let's see if there's another one here for Gorebeast Chariots. This one has the leadership as well. So Gorebeast Chariots. Man, I still don't even use them, to be honest. It's like, are they
I used
good?
to use them a bunch.
Would you say have you used them in the most recent Total War Warhammer 3 installment?
Probably not, because again, the purpose of it is to pull through, break up formations, which you don't have to do. Demons don't really have ranged units you need to get to, other than maybe Zinch, but most of them would burn their ammunition or could be beaten by, Furies. Like, why use Gorebeast Chariots when you could just use like 3 units of Furies?
How much are the Gorebeast Chariots? Do you know?
1250. They tend to be 1250 flat out.
That seems a bit pricey. For
Wait,
what you get.
yeah, and given how good Furies are, you pretty much get like 2 of them with some gold left over. You could chevron them up even, and you could just run down whatever's in the back line.
Yeah, especially Corn Furies.
Like against actual like standing armies like Kislev, you could kind of get away with it, but not because they're all ranged. So even if you're trying to cycle through them, they'll just shoot you anyways. And also they have bears, and their chariots can shoot at them. So like none of the factions are particularly great for Gorebeast Chariots. Ogres are too big and bulky.
Yeah.
And most of the demon factions don't
care particularly,
really.
No.
Because again, a lot of the chariots weren't really focused on like getting massed kills unless they were broken.
Yeah, like the Slash ones are, but not really for Corn.
Yeah, or like how old Scourge Runners would be, where you could just run it into anything and they would just kill everything.
Yeah, it's not that good. Yeah, so I don't think I'm missing out much having them not on the tier list.
Yeah, Gorebeast Chariots could actually kill units, but that was before the chariots were changed and they kind of just stopped being useful. And the reason you would use them now is because they have really high mass and could just pull through anything. They could pull through anything and disrupt formations, which is good because what I would use it for chaos is I throw 2 units of Gorebeast Chariots to disrupt like a back line of archers so that my guys could actually reach the front line and win. Especially if I'm using great weapons.
So next we have the Herald of Corn. His Locus of Wrath ability was increased by 150 gold, which is a pretty big increase in gold. It was a very good ability for 50 gold, so it's not surprising. Do I think he's any different? No, I think he's still pretty good. The Herald of Corn is the lord you take when you're up against a missile faction, basically, because he's small and maneuverable.
Yeah.
Even with his Locus of Wrath being 150 extra, he's still pretty decent. I think much that changed. Big change here, though.
Also, you probably don't need it. You probably don't need it either because everything has so much melee attack against most of what they're facing. Like once you get Eternal Empires, most of the factions they'll be facing, you won't even need it.
Yeah, right? I know what the old strategy was. Well, this might still be the strategy, is having a Herald of Corn with 2 cultists on horses, and then you just fucking goon squad with the 3 of them. And they destroy everything if they have Locust of Wrath, because your melee attack would go through the roof.
And on top of that, you're summoning Bloodletters.
Yeah, exactly, on top of that,
unit, and they're all getting the bonus attack. But the next one on the list is the good old
Minotaurs. Multiplayer reduced by 150 gold. That's both versions, the Great Weapon and the regular variant.
Time.
They were way too pricey before. But are they any better?
Still, No. They're still too pricey. Like, if you're comparing them to like basic Minotaurs, which were 1250 with dual weapons, dual weapons at 1250.
Yeah, these ones
are 200 more, and I think the only reason that they're more expensive still is that they have higher melee attack and have Gore Feast, I think.
I'm not entirely sure. I've used them so little, to be honest. My opinion here is invalid completely.
I've seen them. I've seen them used. I've seen a lot of like dual weapons used there. The thing is, like, yeah, they're excellent at killing infantry. Too bad that Corn already has units that can do that for cheaper and more
Yeah, it
effectively
doesn't
and
need
not be
to.
shot
Yeah.
to pieces. You could just get Corn warriors with dual weapons, and they do that fine. I guess they're missing the armor piercing factor, but okay.
I
Just
would say
get
maybe the great weapons are better, but then the thing is I know later on the patch notes, Skull Crusher's got bonus versus large, so like their use has been fucking destroyed.
yeah, they're redundant now. Like
Yeah, you don't need now that Corn actually has a nice fast moving anti-large and Skull Crushers. They won't need Minotaurs.
they
So
don't need.
I don't think Minotaurs are moving anywhere.
Yeah, the
The
Minotaurs are staying exactly where they are.
Skull Cannon got a big old increase to health there, 500 or so.
Don't really know what that'll make a difference of, but
More
okay.
base damage, reduction in price for 50. Is that good?
Like skull cannons were already okay. Like
Yeah.
this is
I don't
fine.
think they were
It just
great. The Blood Trine was
but
very bad, but the
I
Skull Cannon
feel
itself was okay.
I feel like the skull cannon itself was in most cases mediocre because it would shoot. You'd need to be relatively close, which is fine because most of Corn stuff wants to be close anyways. You get ammo from charging in, so whatever. It fits. It fits. It makes sense.
Yeah, I think without those patch notes, I might have moved it down to a C tier. I think keeping it a B tier is okay.
It should be very firmly in B or something, where you could bring it and it isn't a meme.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you're trying to joke on someone.
So yeah, we have Skull Crushers now with their plus 10 bonus versus large. That's pretty nice. That is a pretty solid change. Does that move them to an S tier though? I don't think so. I think they're still A. Skull Crushers getting that plus 10 bonus versus large. I think they're a solid A. I think.
Yeah, because the thing is that actually expands everything they can fight.
Yeah, I mean they already did pretty well against most of the basic cavalry because none of it was armor piercing, like Griffin Legion, Winged Lancers,
but what about
Chaos Knights? Yeah, Bears was the only exception, but I think they even beat Bears still. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but now they'll beat Bears even more.
Yeah, actually, with that change, they might just be the single strongest cavalry in the game.
Yeah, so I'd say they should be an S.
They might be, but it's like they're still pretty pricey, and it's like, do you really need a super heavy cavalry? It is good value, but do you need a super heavy cavalry in the Corn roster? Like Bloodletters and Bloodthirsters would kill a fucking cavalry unit on their own.
Yeah, but also Bloodthirster is a big single entity.
Oh, I mean Bloodletters as well.
Also, Bloodletters. You mean Blood Crushers?
I mean, just Bloodletters would probably beat a Winged Lance unit on their own.
Yeah, but that's more an issue with how charging doesn't work anymore. And
there was also the question of what is like, what are you protecting with your? Because typically heavy cavalry is used for like a protection of the backline. Corn doesn't really have a backline.
Well, the thing is, it's not just protecting your backline, but also in some cases you're trying to break the enemy backline. Again, this super heavy cavalry can pretty much plow through most units, and your opponent has two choices: shoot at your super heavy, which might not die because they all have massive health pools per unit, or two, shoot the front line, which will destroy your front line.
Well, I suppose the great pairing there would be to have Flesh Hand of Corn with the Skull Crushers. Then the back line, you have the Hounds go off the ranged units, and then you have the Skull Crushers kill any cavalry in the back, or anything that might actually stop your Hounds. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like they would be.
S tier. That sounds.
It feels like you could bring them. Like you could just bring them as long as either, even on their own, and they're a significant threat. Like you could throw them at. It's like grab them, you throw them at a unit, and it'll win the combat.
I mean, it's like against all factions. I don't think there's a faction you wouldn't really bring it against. At least one unit.
Yeah, but I guess if we're talking about the immediate one, because no one has anything except like Bears. No one has anything that's a significant enough threat to Corn as a whole. Like Ogres do have like their armor piercing like Morphang, but the thing is, like
these guys will do better against
Blood Crushers. Yeah, Blood Crushers will do fine against them because their stats are pretty bad most of the time.
But you wouldn't want to bring Blood Crushers, would you? Because they're anti-infantry.
They're not great. Yeah, they're anti-infantry, but that's kind of my point. Is the Ogre cavalry isn't super great sometimes. Or you could just throw Furies at them, honestly.
Yeah, Furies do pretty well in all cases, to be honest.
Well,
if we just take a look at like the Corn roster as a whole, it's like where things did pretty. I think I undersold blood letters. Those are pretty solid infantry. They're just as solid as Corn Warriors, frankly. It really just depends on the faction
It's
you're going
just
against.
they're armor piercing with no armor.
Would I move B though? Is it B or A for them? I'm not sure.
If Corn Warriors are B, blood letters should also be B.
Corn Warriors are A. Should blood letters be A? I will move Corn Warrior halberds up as well because they are basically the same and they're equally as helpful.
Yeah.
I will also think about moving. I think the dual weapon variant as well is also better than D at least.
Well, I did say that the dual weapons are pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think they're nearly as good as regular ones, but they definitely have their places against like those certain factions.
Infantry, low armor infantry factions.
They'll probably see much more of a use in game when War Empires comes out, but yeah, it's another kind of words.
Because they're effectively Norskin berserkers, but with 100 armor.
With lots of armor, yeah.
Yeah.
Exalted bloodletters, I think. I don't know. Do they stay in D or do they go to C? Do you think?
Who? Exalted?
Exalted bloodletters, yeah.
Well, the thing is that it's a lot of money for a unit that again has low armor, and they do have solid stats that can kill things, but they're like what, 1250?
Yeah, they're pretty expensive.
Like you could just I guess get just 2 units of Corn Warriors at that point.
Yeah, I'd probably stay D tier. I might move the Soul Grinder of Corn down. I literally never see it used, and the few times I have used it, it's just been unnecessary, to say the least. And it's just something really nice to be shot at the end of the day. I don't know if it's really B worthy. It's not that it's a super bad unit, it just doesn't. It's not needed in the roster.
It's okay. It's because there is something to be said for like unit that is fine, but unfortunately due to what factions they're up against or the current meta is not viable or not usable.
I think I'll just keep most. I do think Corn Warriors with Shield are so good. I might even put them in S. Yeah, very solid. And it's like Chaos Warriors just in game 2 were already pretty good. These are better.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying for years.
I mean, the thing is now as well is I think regular Chaos Warriors are going to be. I said this before actually, that regular Chaos Warriors are going to be a lot better when More Empires comes out because now everything's on huge. Infantry is just going to be a lot more buff now that everything's on huge unit scale, and I think Corn Warriors is one of them. That'll be a lot better. I'll be interested to see how Chosen perform as well. Now that huge is the default, as opposed to large, we're going to have bigger units of infantry. Yeah, I think regular Corn Warriors I might just put an S tier. They do so well for what they are. Do I think Skull Crushers deserve the S tier as well? Is the question.
I feel Skull Crushers deserve it because it's more just the usability of them as well. Like you're never going wrong by bringing a Skull Crusher unit.
Yeah, I can definitely. I can't see like a specific faction you wouldn't really want to. I mean, you do need to worry about like them getting shot by like cannons and shit. So maybe Kislev, Cathay, and Ogres might be an issue,
but also they will destroy the cavalry of Kislev, Cathay, and Ogres, and then run over the artillery. And also, again, that's assuming that you don't have anything else supporting them or acting as a threat to the rest of the army.
Yeah, you want to try and simultaneously attack with these guys. Okay, fine, they get S tier for now. It's a strong decision. Yeah. I might go back on it later, but for now, S tier. Anything else? Blood Shrine stays shit. It's really shit. Don't use it. It's really shit. Skull Cannon, I think you have an excuse for. The regular Shrine is just shit. Don't even.
It's not that great.
I think it did get buffed a bit because the Totem of Endless Bloodletting. I think that's the one that comes with the skull throne or whatever it's called. Fucking whatever the shrine's called. I think Totem of Endless Bloodletting's the buff. It got a +3 melee attack buff, which is fine, but it's still awful. Next faction is Cathay.
Yes.
Cathay got some changes. Where's the Cathay one?
Yeah, you might want to. The screen's pretty small now because you sized it down to the tier thing. Yeah, you might want to go and change that and size it up because no one's going to be able to read it from here.
Yeah, let me know if you can read that. That looks a lot better. Where are you? Where are we looking? We're looking at Cathay.
Yeah. It's still small.
It's still small.
Yeah, it's like because there's the background of like the Total War Warhammer 3 thing. And then you have your little screen. Go check OBS or something. Yeah, there we go.
Or it might be
Yeah,
because
that's
it might
better.
be the delay. Actually, yeah, it's probably just the delay of what you're seeing.
Okay.
Because I did size it up a bit, and then. Okay, there you go. Where was I? Cathay.
Yeah. Good old Cathay.
So Cathay got some changes.
A lot of
So
changes.
the Celestial Guard stuff was put down by 50 gold. 50 gold isn't a lot for a unit that expensive, but it helps. Do I think they're above C tier? Not really. That's about all to say to them. I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about Celestial Dragon Guard, crossbow, and regular version?
Celestial Dragon Guard is, like, it statistically wise, yeah, and if you have the harmony with it, it's very good. Celestial Dragon Crossmen are very good for just what they are. They're good at melee, they're high armor, they're armor piercing, accurate, and they fire 2 shots per volley. So, like, for 1100 gold, pretty good.
But the question is it better than everything else Cathay has? And it's probably a solid no. There isn't that much big armoured stuff in terms of that you'd normally shoot at that isn't already shielded when it comes to enemies, so it's like the armor piercing isn't even that used. It's really only against like Corn that you'd ever even use the AP. I think they say C tier.
Yeah, they're not really changing anywhere because there's no reason to grab them when you can just grab Jade Halberds or Pikemen.
Yeah, or just anything else. Now, Crane Gunners got a big old change. They got extra 5 missile damage. They now penetrate through infantry targets. They have improved accuracy, but the price was increased by 300 gold. Now, I haven't had a great deal of experience with these guys.
With who?
Crane Gunners, because they got buffed and changed.
They got changed. Improved accuracy. Projectiles now penetrate infantry target. Okay, that's actually good.
Which the sales didn't even have, I'm going to point out. The sales didn't even have that.
Yeah.
But the price was increased by 300.
Now, because the thing is, the Crane Gunners actually have less models, but if that's the case, and you can only pull out a unit so far, so you're always guaranteed to hit 2 or 3 models every time they fire. And most of their shots do like what 70 damage a shot.
It's enough to kill most infantry models.
Yeah, so you could probably reliably. They're definitely going to move up from being dog shit.
Yeah, they're not. They did get a big price increase, but I do think Cathay has a weakness to heavily armored infantry, and so these guys might alleviate that a peg. I'd have to run a quick. We might do that after this. Actually, do you want to do that now? Let's do it now. Yeah, can you get to a war open?
Okay, I guess. Sure.
Quick test on how they do against some Corn Warriors.
Okay.
And let's see if they're capable of like taking out a Corn Warrior before it reaches them, then I'd move them up.
Yeah, or at least do significant damage to them. That's the other
Yeah,
part.
I'd have to see like how everything changed. Let's boot it on up. Stretch. Wait a minute. Right, oh, there it is. Downloading something. Right, I shall invite you. Quick test of arms. I think you're offline, Circo.
Yeah, I set myself to invisible. Don't worry about it.
Okay, just join me. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, you fool! You told them the password. Even
no, they've cracked the code.
Cracked the code. What will we do?
They fucking destroyed me. Alright, so we go. Crane Gunners, I'll bring like 4 units of them. I'll also bring some because they have yin and yang, don't they? Yeah, so I'll have the yang activated because you typically would. See how much that helps them.
Yeah.
If you want to just bring like fucking 8 units of Chaos Warriors.
Okay.
Of Corn. Blood for the Blood God. Let's go.
I'll actually have them. I'll have them in varying levels of depth.
Yeah.
Let me just find you. What the fuck? Oh, there you are.
You have such a long list of friends. I have so many friends, sorry, I have to scroll through them all.
Oops. Let's see.
Should be 3, 2, 1. That doesn't work as
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
I did
Sometimes
1,
I
2,
can't
3
remember.
first.
I see. Right, so I got 4 units of Crane Gunners. I'm going to activate their Yang. Oh wait, I have selected the line.
Have like some units activated so it's some Yang.
Well, I think almost always you're going to have Yang activated. Like the
Yeah,
Ballet
you
Harmony.
would just put. But let's.
It's the
see
same
what
thing
it's
with
like
cannons.
without- Yeah. Well, yeah, to have just a regular pike
You
unit.
can always just stick like a regular basic
Might want
bitch
to pick
spearman
like
unit.
a flat.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you, there's not that many. Tempest
Okay, I can only
Flames
get
and-
5 corn warriors.
Oh yeah, right. Fucking unit
So.
caps, that's enough, there you go.
Yeah.
Troll Country is the flat map. Or should this one not be a troll?
There.
Okay, this one's pretty flat, okay.
The flats of Kislev.
Kislev, okay, I'll do 1 without, and then 3 with.
Yeah. So, and I'll have them differing depth.
Yeah. Can't wait for more empires though, I'll be very pog. Very good.
Yeah. Then I get to
Watch.
be depressed with Warriors of Chaos again.
Yay, well they're gonna get a rework apparently, so.
Yeah, apparently.
Maybe a new
but-
lord as well.
Yeah.
Maybe. Whether or not their units are gonna get changed at all is another thing. Might just be a campaign.
Okay, these flats don't seem very flat. But it'll have to do.
It's enough, it's fine, it'll be fine.
So we're gonna pull this one as far as it can. Oh wait, what? Is it not letting me? Okay, cool. It won't let me actually change the width of these guys when I try and pull and drag them.
Oh, why isn't it letting me change the
Oh,
width?
there we go. Now it is. Okay. That was weird.
Alright, so these
Okay.
guys have clear shot. This takes.
Oh wait, is it the terrain?
Oh, maybe there's like some fucking shitty
Yeah.
rocks in the way. So. Okay, I'm just gonna try and put them so they have a nice open area directly in front of them. Right, okay, I think I'll be good. I'll also do one that's getting a bonus to harmony because of fucking my general being near them.
Let's see. I'm just
What's their range like? I think the range is about the same as Jessica's, I think. It seems about right.
Sorry, I'm still trying to wrestle. What is this map? Why can't I like?
Wrestle.
There we go. Why does
Wrestle.
it take a full second for it to like pull? There
No
we go.
suspicious there.
Okay.
Well, I'm ready whenever you are.
Yeah, I'm just putting them into little control groups so I can move them into position to run at you. And then I'll have the other two just over here, I guess. Because there's 2 giant lakes in the way.
Big old, like, can you not walk through those?
No, I can't. I think. I don't know.
Might be able to.
Okay.
So if you just want to send like a unit, I'll try and shoot 1 unit at a time.
Oh, you try to shoot 1 at a time? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you had like 8,
No, I had
6 as
4.
well. Okay,
So
I'll
the one
send
on
this,
my far right has no bonus.
Okay. On your right. Alright, I'll send the flat one towards that one then.
The one on my far left has an extra bonus because they have general nearby. Alright, let's see here. Fire it well. And you guys fire it well as well.
Yeah.
So these are-
Well, I thought it was only 1 unit firing.
I'm gonna have my one. I mean, just like 1v1 sort of thing.
Yeah,
That's pretty good damage
yeah.
on the first volley.
Actually, that's quite good damage for 50% missile block.
Well, it's because they have shield breaker as well on their shots.
Oh yeah. Even the one without is doing a ton of damage.
Okay. It looks like they're going to kill them before they even reach him. How's your ammo doing?
Or at least break them.
Ammo?
They seem pretty good on ammo.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, the unit with Harmony has already broken the Corn Warriors before I reached them.
Yeah, they've broken. And then these ones over here will win as well. Yes, that's pretty good.
That's actually significantly better. That is astoundingly better. Now let's try something a bit funnier in the form of let's have box now.
What?
So I'm gonna send
No,
the
box
box
formation.
boys up, or a deeper formation, I guess.
Yeah, to see how many they penetrate through.
And see if that makes a difference.
They
We can just speed it up. We'll put it to forward one. And then, Jesus, that is.
Let's see, do they shoot through multiple models? It doesn't look like they shoot through all of them.
Yeah,
it looks like
because from what I can tell is they have a penetration ability of 1. So
I think it might be 2 actually.
Into the next. 2?
They seem to hit rows with.
Oh
my god, no! They desecrated full rows there.
Yeah, no,
like...
I think that was the shield block protecting them.
Yeah, it makes it way worse for them doing shield formation. Makes it worse, significantly worse.
Yeah, that is a significant increase.
These are like cannon shots. These are like cannonballs they're firing.
Yeah. And that was the unharmonied one. This one was a bit.
I stopped firing at the start for some reason. Accident.
Oh, okay.
I only just started firing recently, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they go.
And now for the actual like very deep formation.
Do you want to see how much damage it does to your lord? Try sending your lord in. I want to see how good they are at sniping heroes.
I'll send it to the one in between the two.
Yeah, the one that hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah. Go box formations.
I'll go charge towards my super harmonied one, the one that has bonus because Meow Ying's there.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, with that
I'm
box
already charging towards the harmony one. I'm charging with both the one on the right. Okay, I'll charge the one on the right. I should be in range, so you can just shoot.
Yeah, they're shooting.
Oh! That was a quarter.
That was a lot.
That was a quarter of their health in a single volley. Okay. Just imagine if you can get a flank shot from crane gunners.
Oh my god, he just goes through the entire front line. Okay, your lord's also taking pretty decent damage. Is he gonna run?
Yeah.
Is he gonna disintegrate? No, he's not disintegrating, but.
And that was him on a little horse thing.
No, he's on foot.
Okay.
So probably on horse. Well, on horse, it's bigger target.
Oh wait, your other guys didn't fire yet.
Let's see if they can kill you before they get there anyway. With that amazing fucking column formation you've got.
The Napoleon column will succeed.
Oh my god, when they're so close to them, they're so accurate that they clean through entire rows. Look at that, look at all that fucking damage.
They are taking so much damage, the Corn Warriors are actually suffering shock.
Oh my god, they can't even get close to getting pushed back from the throwback. Oh my god. Oh, they're running.
They broke.
They broke.
Okay, so crane gunners are no longer a meme.
They're no longer a meme unit. Let's quit off that and go back to tier list.
Yeah, because 100%, if you could get crane gunners on a flank.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the only thing holding I think once Unmelt Lampass comes out, they're going to be a lot better. The main thing I think is holding them back still is, Furies exist.
Yeah, but...
How hard? They definitely...
Actually, you can get Peasant Bowmen. Like, if you cover them with some Peasant Bowmen, like one unit or 2 units of Peasant Bowmen, or, again, you'd have spears with them, so the spears would forward. and tie up. So it's under the assumption that you would have a unit with them, right?
Yeah, I do think they're substantially better. They're up to B at least.
Yeah.
Do I put them any further than B? I think keeping them at B is a nice safe bet for now. It's like we'll need to see them more in play, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, any thick formation or any
thick.
thick formation, any infantry formation is actually in
I wonder because they
danger.
shoot through infantry. I wonder if they'll work the same way for Furies actually. If they'll just fucking melt Furies.
Yeah, if they see a Fury, they'll fire and then hit.
They'll shoot through all of them because they're all infantry quote unquote models.
Do you want to try that?
Ah, just fucking close to war. Let me boot up again.
Oh.
Sure. Can you do that quick test against an AI? Just like throw in a Fury and a Crane unit, see how it goes.
Let me just do battles versus AI.
We'll keep it there when we just take a quick look at the other Cathay units that got changed.
Yeah.
Fire Rain Rocket got a price reduction of 100. I still don't think it's that good. Yeah, Fire Rain Rocket's probably still a C tier, to be honest. I don't think it's moved much. Great Longbow Riders, they got a price reduction. They kind of needed it. Do I think they're S tier?
Wait, how much have they been reduced?
100.
That's fine.
Sizable.
Like,
I think that's their A. Like, they're really good, but they're not
fine.
like amazing.
They're not exceedingly amazing. They're good at what they do.
Jade Lance's got a charge bonus increase of 7. And yeah, that's all they got. That's still probably B, that's not much of a change. Now, a big change as well is the Woozen Compass. It got a price increase from 800 to 100 to 950. But the thing is that now it's all bound abilities instead of spells. So it doesn't tap into winds of magic, which definitely does make it a lot better. The problem with it was before is that it just had no use because you could just get a caster for the same effect. But now it has bound abilities. Do you know how many bound abilities it gets? I don't know if you're on the Cathay roster right now. Less Psycho.
Sorry. I was just looking at something. What was the thing?
Are you on the Cathay roster page?
I'm on the Cathay roster page.
Can you take a look at the Woozing War Compass? I want to see how many of its bound ability it gets, because now it gets bound abilities instead of spells.
Oh.
How many uses does it
gets Celestial Comet, which is 2 uses, and Celestial Lightning, 2 uses. That's not bad.
That's pretty good. 950
That's actually
gold.
that's kind of worth it.
That's substantially better than what it was before.
And on top of that, it amplifies its own magic by 25%.
Yeah. I don't know if those count as a magic anymore.
It should.
Because they're bound abilities, not spells.
It says it's a spell.
Okay, maybe
no,
it does.
it literally the thing says it's a spell. It's just it can only be used a certain amount.
I'd definitely move up to a C tier. I think they're definitely no longer a shit meme.
Yeah, they're not a meme pick.
I still think Peasant Horsemen are shit.
Peasant Horsemen are exactly what they're supposed to be.
Peasants on horses.
Yeah.
Do I think the Woozen War Compass is that much? I think I gotta see. Check how those Crane Gunners do against Furies, and then I think that's it for
Yeah, that's what I'm about to do.
Zhao Ming got Warding Iron as a free passive instead of a paid fucking ability thing. I don't think that's helping him much. You still just bring Miao Ying instead, but oh well. There was also the fact that the Lord Magistrate got a multiplayer price reduction. All his abilities got reduced by 50 gold. He's still not very good.
Yeah, well, no, the Lord Magistrate is weird.
He's very
weird. He's very inexpensive, but also the main gimmick of him is the fact that, hey, I can buff units to a pretty good degree, but the thing is the ability does take a while to cool back down.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, you can also put him in a little sky junk if you got something. If you're not
put him in his little balloon.
Yeah, if you're facing a force that doesn't have like a ton of like these like something like Furies or something, you could probably reliably put him in a balloon and he'd be relatively safe.
A balloon.
Right?
Yeah, I mean balloon could also just get shot, could get burned, could get hit by anything flying, could just lose.
No, my point is that like when Eternal Empire is like against factions that don't have a ton of flying units that could come after him, and you just have 1 or 2 Longbow Riders to drive off a Lord, he'd be fine.
Depends on the faction, I suppose.
I'm not saying he's good currently. I'm
No.
just saying that you could use them like that, and it'd probably be okay if you're trying to go for a cheap option. But you could just grab one of the other lords and just take everything off except for like one spell.
Yeah, I think it's possible, but it's like, yeah, again, you just probably go for Yarying specifically. The question is also the fact that, oh yeah, fun fact is that I think that a Lord Magistrate on a balloon has the worst melee stats of any Lord available, even in Immortal Empires.
Okay, I'm just watching like 2 units of Crane Gunners shooting at 2 units of Furies kind of stacked on each other. Pretty much wipe them out.
Yeah, I can imagine stacked on each other, and they might fucking disintegrate them. Okay, with that, I'll have to test them out a bit, but optimistically,
Yeah.
I'm going to put them as an A tier. Optimistically.
Yeah, because it seems that they actually shoot through the actual
The Furies, yeah.
Furies. Able to shoot through the Furies, since most bullets arc, they're always going to shoot up, hit one.
Or do I put them because they are more expensive than Great Cannons? I might actually move Great Cannons down actually a peg because they're not that good. They're not S tier, I think. Probably A tier. I think surprisingly enough, I think Peasant Longspearmen are like really, really good. Might even be S tier. Like you bring them almost every single battle. They're a great harmony applier. It's a difficult one, it's a tricky one. I think I'll keep it as that for now, just to keep it at a level pace. Next faction is Ogres. Ogre time.
Yeah, Ogre.
Ogres. No shinais but the more. Here we go. So Firebelly got some nice little buffs where just some visibility's got price reduction. That's okay. I still think Firebelly is one of the best ogre heroes, and this doesn't change much. It just means that you might actually bring his abilities occasionally. Giant now enjoys the benefit of plus 15% missile resistance. It only took him like 5 years, but they finally gave the Giant missile resistance.
Yeah, man. Well, he already had 15%, so 30% resistance is actually good.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, 30%.
Added a benefit of 15% missile resistance. Because if I remember correctly, they like most creatures, single entities, always have 15%.
No, because you're on Total War right now, and can you check?
No, I just exited.
Because I think added benefit. Normally it would say like increase of 15 to 30.
Yeah, but sometimes the wording is weird.
I don't remember the Giant having a missile resistance. I think that was the full meme. Why Giants were so shit because they didn't have a missile resistance. Could be wrong. Either way, it's nice. Giants always had a problem with missiles. Do I think that makes them any better than C? Maybe. If it's 30%, yes.
Yeah.
If it's 15%, no.
No. But yeah, if it's 30%, that would actually make them viable.
I gotta go check this now.
Yeah.
Gotta check. If it's 30%, that is sizable and notable and maybe worthy of an increase to a C rank.
Yeah. Like, Giants could be still... Oh, they're already a C rank. You mean B rank?
Oh yeah, I don't know why there's no F tier in this rank. Yeah, I mean B rank.
But, yeah, the Giant still had its uses, like against any faction that doesn't have ranged. It still does very well.
It only has 15% missile resistance. It doesn't have 30. It never had any to begin with. Well, staying at a nice C tier then. Good for you. Okay. Yeah. Noblar's got a price increase to 250. Hurts. But
yeah,
I might even. Does that change much though?
That does kind of change a lot because a lot of the purpose of the Nobblers is to be used in tandem with the Ogres.
Yeah, and the fact that they're a bit more expensive now. Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is, the Nobblers function as like little meat shields. Like you remember how it would use like the Kolek and the Chaos Knights?
Yeah.
It's effectively the same idea. You have the Ogres sitting in the middle of the Nobblers. The Nobblers get hit while the Ogres get to hit for free.
Yeah, get big damage. Having them more expensive is
Nobblers. Yeah, with them costing more, 5 Nobblers are now 250 more.
Yeah, so now you like a full Noblar extra.
Yeah, which
where you could get 5 for the price of 4 now. I think that definitely does. That change it to like an A tier, maybe. Noblars. Put them on par with their other Noblar trappers. This does definitely reduce the gap between regular Noblars and Noblar trappers, because I don't think Noblar trappers got prices to change. Then didn't. I'll put them down to A tier. Maybe their time has come to go down to A tier. Greaser's Goldtooth got a buff to his damage, and his Horde Master ability is a lot cheaper.
Yeah, wait, Greaser's Tooth got a cost reduction?
No, his one of his abilities did.
Oh.
By 100.
Which
Horde
one?
Master.
Oh, okay.
Which gives like AoE plus 8 leadership, I think. Is that the one?
Yeah, and also immune to psychology.
Yeah, oh no, is that the... No, that's his Overtyrant's Crown, I think. Horde Master's just a generic...
Overtyrant. Just generic leadership buff.
Yeah.
But again, having immune to psychology with Greasus and the Ogres is good.
Yeah.
For the Nobblers.
I still think Greasus is worse than... Not that much worse, he's not a bad lord by any margin, but he's like still worse than like Scrag or the Butcher. Hunter, his Stonehorn mount finally realised that it's just a better version. Its price increased by 200. I will say that probably does bring regular Stonehorns out with the D tier. Probably up to C tier at the very least. Because now the Hunter's way more expensive on one. After playing around with stuff, I think Gorges are C still. I think these elite cavalry, the elite Crusher cavalry with great weapons, are just so expensive and so unnecessary that they're going to a D tier.
The Stonehorns, I don't know,
they're fine, but now that the Hunter's been nerfed, it's like they're actually more valuable. So I'll move them up a peg.
Yeah, so they're actually viable units.
Yeah.
The Gorges are fine as well. I would never call them D. They're more...
No, yeah, I wouldn't either. I was tempted to, but no, I wouldn't call them D.
They're not... But also, they're not... I don't think they're as bad as C, though. Like, they're Gorgers. The purpose is to sneak around and hit units that shouldn't be able to fight them.
The issue is just how little health they got. Like, the reduction for models didn't change their health as well, so their health is way lower than it used to be.
Yeah, that's true.
And when you have such a low health unit, it doesn't work very well with Scrag's regeneration, so that combo went out the window.
Well, I usually don't use Scrag a lot of the time, so
Yeah, I mean, just on their own, but it's like if you want a flanking around unit, use Sabertooth pack.
Yeah, but I was also going to say, you can use them as sort of guard for Iron Blasters.
Yeah, sneaky guard, I guess. They are good at killing Furies. But
they're unbreakable, so they won't break.
No. I don't know. I still think they're C tier, but I definitely see their use. They're not D tier, that's for certain. Maneater's Ogre Pistols, they got nerfed. RIP Ogre Pistols. Before that, I was tempted. I mean, I still think they're A tier. I was actually tempted to put them in S tier before. Now I think they're just a solid A tier.
They're fine. They're good.
In terms of looking, I think that's it for the Ogre changes. It's major. Oh, the Overtyrant's Crown for Greaser's Goldtooth got an extra 5% damage resistance bonus, which is nice. That definitely brings Greaser's up a peg. Still think he's not as good, but he's still pretty good. You might bring him sometimes now, and more often at least. As it for regular other changes, anything else here might be a change here. Manatee Pistols there still. So I think putting the scrap launcher on the same level as the Iron Blaster, I think they're pretty. I think Iron Blaster might actually go down to C tier. It's very inaccurate now. So it doesn't hit very much. And if you want a cannon unit, I'm going to just actually, you know what? I'm going to put Lead Belchers up to an S tier.
Well, they are good.
They are very good. Like what I've seen, they
can tear people apart.
You think about it. That
the problem with Lead Belchers is that their counter is other cannons, like direct cannons.
Yeah.
Hit them directly.
Or like Furies, they're really bad in melee as well. But I think they are very comparable to how Crane Gunners are now. Like I think how Crane Gunners are now are like just smaller, harder to hit versions of Lead Belchers. And Lead Belchers are cheaper, so I'm going to put Lead Belchers in S tier. They are very solid. They destroy single entities. They destroy heavy infantry. They destroy light infantry. They destroy cavalry. As long as they have time to shoot, they're going to get their value back. It's really just about managing them and making sure they have time to get some shots off, which they most often do. So yeah, I think they're S tier. I think they're very, very good. Anything else here to move around? I don't think so. Yeah, that's all pretty much where it should be.
Yeah, I don't think like Iron Blasters are, I guess, C tier, because they still have their uses, because it's still a single entity like model that is effectively capable of charging into units, and like it can still run up, shoot at really close range at something, right? Like the thing was, what
Yeah,
made it
you can
ridiculous
still
is
use
that
it as a shotgun
it
blast.
shot at like the farthest extent of the range, and all of its projectiles would hit. It's like, okay, no,
Yep.
okay,
Before it could do it at max range. Now you have to get really close
yeah,
to do it, which is a
and
big
also
risk.
also the shotgun blast as well is still effective against like infantry.
The thing is, it's a shotgun blast, but it's like a lot of those go too high, which is the issue, and will just shoot over units.
Yeah,
Or too
but
low, and
again,
it'll just hit the ground before. Like, it's
with
much wider radius.
but also it has the advantage of being incredibly mobile. Like the thing is, like it shouldn't have been able to be that accurate. Like it's not that much of an issue because it's faster than most. Like it's faster than all the infantry. Like it's never going to get caught. It could just roll up to a front line, fire, and if something tries to attack it, it's got like 4,000 health. Ooh, right?
Yeah, it does. Do I think it's that good though? No. It's like let Belchers do what it needs to do, better and for cheaper, and more conventionally used, and more accurate. Actually, I think they have a higher damage output than the Iron Blaster did. They just have a shorter range, which was the issue. Well, they weren't used as much, but I still think. I'll put the I'll put the scrap launch.
Scrap launcher is a catapult. It is.
Yeah, I think the scrap launcher and Iron Blaster should be on the same tier, but it's the question of whether or not it's B or C.
I'd say I don't want to say B because you wouldn't want to bring an Iron Blaster. You'd use it against certain factions that don't have the capacity to take out an Iron Blaster, or the scrap launcher. Is it more accurate at further ranges?
I don't think so. I don't believe so. No. I don't think these two I just think that the lead belchers do what these two tried to do on their own, but together. Like lead belchers kill infantry and single entities just as effectively as one another. These two have kind of been outplayed in that regard. And there isn't that many big open maps in Warhammer 3 that you really want a big cannon for, or you want a big catapult for.
Yeah, a lot of the maps recently are much smaller, especially Domination.
Yeah.
Which I feel is an issue, is that they don't actually have any big Domination maps.
Yeah, which I mean, they've said they're going to add a lot more, so I can imagine them adding like a crossroads with just 3 points in the middle.
In the center, which is better than the original crossroads because at least you have to go and take a point.
Yeah, I think I'll keep them at C for now. Maybe my opinions will change, but I think I'm going to keep them at C for now. One more faction. Last faction. It's Zinch. Now, Zinch's got a couple changes. Most notably, Blue Horror's got
nerfs.
Yeah. Blue Horrors.
This notably
nerfs. Actually, I'm pretty sure they only got 2 changes, I think.
Yeah.
I think they literally only got changes to Screamers and to Blue Horrors. Yeah, and Cultists as well.
Yeah, so the 2 problem.
Well, Screamers are fine, but Screamers got buffed. It's the reason that they were really shit before.
Yeah. I wouldn't say Screamers were shit. They were just Screamers.
They were just screaming at the top of their lungs.
They're a flame unit that does armor piercing that requires to be close. So, and they're effectively like spaghetti. They just die.
Now, I must say, as time has gone on, I'm looking at this tier list and I'm saying, man, a lot has changed. Like, I need to move almost all of these. Yeah, okay, I need to move a lot of this. So, starting at the bottom, Burning Chariot is not as bad as I thought it was. It does have its uses. It's not great, but it still has its use of sniping single entities. I will move it to a D tier. Looking at D tier, I still think Doom Knights aren't very good for their price. I still think they need some help. I might even say Doom Knights are the worst unit in the room. Maybe. Exalted Flamer, that's really good now. That got a really nice tasty buff. It helps against Zinch's main weakness, which is armored shielded infantry. This just melts it, and it still does really well against single entities, and it's got a range increase. The idea with the Exalted Flamer is that you use at long range, it's got a wide spread, so you use it against infantry at long range. When you get closer, it's really focused, and it'll do a lot of damage to a single entity. So if something's close, you net it down with like Kairos' net, and you melt it. If it's far away, you can just melt it from a distance and then fly away and outrun it. which does help a lot against like Corn Warriors, Kislev, Armored Corsairs and stuff. Which is why I'm putting it up to an A tier. As for C tier, Spawn of Zinch, let's see, Exalted Flamers of Zinch, I still think are C tier, and I think they're particularly necessary. They are just too expensive really to be anything worthwhile. Spawn of Zinch with their armor sundering is nice and all, but it doesn't really play well with the rest of the roster. I think I'll keep it a C. Soul Grinder of Zinch, also probably still a C. It's not particularly good, and the main reason for that is the fact that the Lord of Change is probably an S tier now. I think with the bound ability and how cheap the maybe not an S, maybe an A tier. The Lord of Change is definitely a lot better than I thought it was originally. It is better than a Soul Grinder in melee. It can fly, and now it has 2 free spells with it.
Yeah.
It is very good. I think Lord of Change is an A tier. B tier, regular Flamers, I think don't have quite the same flexibility as a Exalted Flamer does, because they don't really do that much to single entities. But they're still pretty good. Screamers, I think Screamers were worse before. I would have put them at a C tier before, but now I think they're a B tier with the buffs. The buffs, of course, being they have an increased health. I think they got like an extra 500 health. 500 and like what was that? 28, 38? No, 28. And they also get 10 extra armor, so a lot more survivable, which was the main issue with the Screamers, is they died very quickly. And this definitely helps them a lot. I think putting them at a B tier is suitable. Forsaken of Zinch, these guys are way better than I thought they were.
Good.
Really, really good. I might even put them S tier.
I told you. I'm very sure I told you multiple
You might have done, yes.
I've told you multiple times, they're ridiculously good.
I think I was in the impression that all you needed was blue horrors and pink horrors, and that's all you ever needed, but I've come to realise that against like certain factions, just Forsaken are just the way to go. I think Corn, you bring Forsaken a lot more. Kislev, Cathay.
Forsaken can actually fight Corn Warriors to either a standstill or to defeat them, especially if they've got some level of fire support. They can very much kill a lot of heavy infantry from the front because of that shield. The shield really makes a massive difference for Forsaken, whose entire shtick is doing as much damage as possible, killing their opponent before they die.
By shield, you mean barrier, don't you?
Things like
the old magic Zinch barrier.
Of course, barrier shield, they're effectively the same thing.
Yeah, I know. It's just because when you say shield, you think like bronze shield,
silver
shield.
Yeah, the silver shield. Yeah, I know what you're. But yeah, barriers
makes them a lot better.
Yeah,
and the fact they have magical damage is
that,
really good against other demons. It turns out.
Yes, it is, because they have physical resistance. And don't the Forsaken for Zinch have magical attacks?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's right. Yeah, I just said they have some magical attacks. They used to have a big spell resistance as well, but they got that taken away from them instead.
For obvious reasons.
Not that they needed it. I don't think there was that many spells that was really hitting Forsaken of Zinch. But...
Yeah, apart from Pendulum, but...
Well, unless you're doing a Zinch mirror match, you're not going to see that much. Or against Slanesh. Yeah. Yeah, Forsaken, really, really, really good. Looking at A tier, I think Blue Horrors, Furies, they're S tier. I don't think there's a faction that Furies aren't S tier. I think it's just the S tier. Maybe Slash, actually, I might put them in A tier instead, just because everything in the roster's so fast. But Zinch, they're an S tier. Knights of Chaos Knights of Zinch.
Still a good unit.
They're still a good unit, but
it's still Chaos Knights because it's
with a barrier.
Also, I feel like I don't know that they've addressed it, but Zinch is sort of weird with the morale because they just don't break sometimes, and I think that has something to do with the barrier.
It might do, yeah. Or might have something to do with how it's calculated.
It probably calculates the barrier as potentially always full.
Yeah. Or something like that. Not exactly sure. But Chaos Knights of Zinch do definitely.
Yeah, they're
quite well.
They're the same cost as like regular Chaos Knights, but just have barrier, which is just good. Because Chaos Knights on their own are really good. They're a really good cavalry. It's just and have fear built in. So against mortal enemies, you really can cause. They really do manage to do a lot of shock and awe. You can just smash and wipe them out because they have so much melee attack as well. If we're talking the regular ones,
I do think they're quite good. I think they might be B tier though.
Yes, B tier is a good place.
Yeah,
because they're not great against everything because well, they can get shot at. They can face a skull crusher or bears.
Yeah.
So they're more situational.
Yeah, I think B tier is suitable for them.
They're a good solid unit that you can always depend on. But some things, it's not perfect. It isn't broken. It's just really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Looking at these horror units now, Blue Horrors got nerfed quite a bit. 100 gold increase to them. That hurts. 100 gold increase is big. From 400 to 500, it is really noticeable. And frankly, it moves them down definitely to A tier. Maybe move them down to probably not. I think A tier is suitable for them. They're not the OP bring all the time they were before. It has also shortened the gap between Blue Horrors and Pink Horrors. Now looking back on it, at the time, Pink Horrors were definitely not S tier. I'd say they're probably like A or B tier. Now, with the gap shortened, I might say Pink Horrors S or A tier.
Oh, well, it depends. What else? Is it just a slight cost increase?
Pink Horrors didn't get changed. Blue Horrors got
No, I mean Blue Horrors.
Blue Horrors got a plus 100 to the price from 400 to 500.
So a 25% cost increase.
Yeah, which is why I put them down to A tier instead of S tier.
Okay. They might still be like 500 is still pretty good.
It's a lot more his size. They're not a bad unit.
It
They're
is,
just it's just not like the outrageous levels of
I
can get
outrageous. Oh, I can bring 4 of these for
5 I can build I can bring 160 models that all have like 3 volleys in them of a fairly okay infantry unit that has barrier and extra health, only 400 gold. I think 500 gold is a more suitable price point for them, which is why I say A tier. Pink Horrors weren't changed, so obviously the gap has shortened between them. I think Pink Horrors are... I haven't actually used Pink Horrors as much as I should be doing, probably. I don't... I mean, the issue with Pink Horrors is, like, what factions do you actually bring them against?
Pretty much anything that can't deal with them effectively.
It's basically just Nurgle.
Yeah, because they're faster than Nurgle. Corn you can't use, but also... Because I want to think in the sense of, like, all the other factions. You can use them against other ranged factions due to the barrier. They can trade really well.
They can trade quite nicely usually,
yeah, and they have a lot of ammunition. They don't break because they're demons. Yes, they're not. They're probably a pretty solid unit. I think. Yeah, they're fine being. I wouldn't say they're like extremely good. Because how much do they cost?
750, I think.
Yeah, and how much missile damage do they do?
Oh, if I remember rightly, just off the top of my head, Blue Horrors have 20 something, and then Pink Horrors have 30 something.
Okay, so 20 something is like the average missile damage for most things, and they have like.
Pink Horrors do have fewer models though, so I don't know how that balances out.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I think they're A. They're just really good.
Yeah, A.
They're not broken. They're not broken. I wouldn't say that Pink Horrors are broken. They're very good at what they do.
I mean, S tier isn't broken. S tier is just really what I'm trying to do with S tier is just stuff you bring a lot. You bring like nearly in every matchup.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I think Forsaken and Furies, yeah, you bring those in every matchup pretty much. There's no matchup you don't really do bringing them in. Because they do very well against mortal factions, because they do really well against their infantry, and then they do very well against demon factions because they have magical attacks. So it's really only against ogres I wouldn't bring Forsaken. That's like it. And even then, I might bring 1 or 2.
Actually, no, because the thing is, ogres don't have a lot of armor. Forsaken
which is why they actually do dish out fairly amount of damage. So they do die a lot quicker compared to other factions would.
Yeah, ogres just get eviscerated by Forsaken. It's silly, and ogres don't really have a good answer except like Iron Guts.
Or like lead belchers or anything,
Yeah, lead belchers or Iron Guts to hold the line. And then, but again, now you're getting into really expensive armies, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's it for Zinch. I think all that's fairly suitable. I definitely changed a lot the most around with Zinch. Probably would say the best for last there. And with reviewing that, I think that is a good point to call it for today. We have fiddled around with the patches and everything, patch notes. And yeah, I think that's where they're standing, as it stands. The question, I mean, I do realise I have no F tier unit for Zinch, but I don't think they really have an F tier unit. Like Doom Knights aren't that bad. The
Doom
Burn
Knights
Chariot
are
isn't that
still
bad.
functional. It's just
they're just sad.
Yeah.
Just a bit sad.
Could be better.
Give them AP, give them anti-large, and then we'll talk.
The problem with the Doom Knights is the fact that Furies exist.
Mm-hmm.
Like any flying unit,
You can get, to put it in perspective,
demon rosters.
you can get 3 Furies for 1 Doom Knight.
Yeah,
that's ludicrous. Like, a Doom Knight is worth 2, probably at most. And you can get 3 of them for the price of 1 Doom Knight. It's like, yeah, it's very sad. They need anti-large and AP, in my opinion, because that makes them a bit more specialized. But then that just ruins the issue.
Maybe a bonus against large or something.
Yeah, which is really what they need, because they have fucking halberds in their hands.
Yeah, that's a little weird. Why don't they?
Skullcrusher's got it. They have spears.
Yeah.
Where's my Doom Knight love, man?
Yeah,
molding.
But it's well, again, I think it's a common problem amongst all of the demon factions is that Furies are obscenely good.
And it just means that any other flying unit is just shit by comparison. Nurgle's got the problem.
In comparison, because they're all Furies in every like demon lineup is S tier.
Yeah,
because
except for maybe Slaanesh. Slaanesh, I might put him in A.
Yeah,
just because Slaanesh just runs through shit they don't need to go over.
Well, Slaanesh is so fast.
Yeah.
They can just outmaneuver you and have very good chariots.
Oh, no, ironically, I think I'm pretty sure most of the Slaanesh roster is actually faster than Furies.
Yeah, that's what I was also going to add. Is that
because most stuff in it has 100 speed.
They just like outrun the Furies.
Yeah, and they get behind before the Furies can even go over.
Look at these schmucks flying.
That's literally the only faction that, and also because the Furies of Slaanesh are probably the worst. They only have AP.
Yeah, which I guess like AP could be useful against like armored
factions,
flanking like armored units.
The issue is the rest of the Slaanesh roster has a lot of AP already, so
it's kind of redundant.
Yeah. But anyway, that is it for today's session. Next week, I'm not entirely sure. We might do some more replays. Otherwise, we might actually move on to the final faction, being Slaanesh. Looking at Slaanesh, maybe do some replays and then Slaanesh, since it's just one faction to look at. We also have the regiments of renown to look at some point. Alright, well, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Goodbye.